Success begins with a deep recognition of self-worth. Far too often, people spend their lives waiting for others to validate them, to grant them permission to pursue dreams, or to open doors on their behalf. The habit of seeking approval becomes a silent chain that keeps many from stepping fully into their potential. When someone constantly begs for acknowledgement, they are unconsciously handing over their power to others, allowing external forces to dictate the pace and direction of their life. To truly rise, one must stop begging, stop waiting, and start believing that they already carry within themselves everything required to succeed. There is a certain dignity in knowing your value. It changes the way you walk into a room, the way you handle rejection, and the way you respond to obstacles. Someone who knows their worth does not crumble when told they are not good enough. Instead, they see rejection as redirection, as proof that the path requires more persistence rather than permission. Every setback becomes an opportunity to refine skills, strengthen resolve, and return stronger. Recognizing self-worth is not arrogance. It is a quiet confidence that says, I deserve to be here, and I will continue to show up regardless of who believes in me. From childhood, many are conditioned to wait for praise, to perform for applause, and to measure themselves against external approval. That conditioning carries into adulthood, where people end up chasing validation through titles, compliments, or acceptance from society. But the truth is, success built on begging for recognition is fragile. The moment the applause stops, the moment the compliments fade, the confidence collapses. This is why true power comes only when you decide that your value is not up for negotiation. You are not valuable because someone says you are. You are valuable because of the skills, resilience, and authenticity you bring to the world. The journey of self-recognition is rarely easy. It requires unlearning years of self-doubt and silencing the inner voice that whispers, "You're not enough." That voice grows louder whenever society sets unfair expectations, whenever comparisons weigh heavily, or whenever failures seem final. But worth is not determined by flawless outcomes. Worth is found in effort, in persistence, in the courage to keep going despite the noise. The moment you stop begging for others to notice you is the moment you take back control of your narrative. No longer are you defined by someone else's opinion of your abilities. You become defined by your own relentless pursuit of growth. Imagine standing at a crossroads where one path leads to waiting endlessly for someone to open a door, and the other path leads to building your own. The first path may feel safer because it relies on others, but it keeps you small. The second path demands courage because it requires you to trust yourself enough to act without assurance. Choosing the second path is what separates those who live under the weight of external judgment from those who rise with unshakable confidence. To stop begging is to choose yourself, to say, I will not wait for permission. I will create my own opportunities. When you recognize your worth, everything about how you carry yourself transforms. Your words carry more weight because they are spoken with conviction. Your body language communicates strength even before you say a word. Opportunities begin to flow toward you because people are drawn to those who radiate certainty. Confidence is magnetic, but it cannot be faked for long. It must come from a real understanding of who you are and what you bring to the table. That understanding allows you to walk away from situations that undervalue you, knowing that leaving one door closed only makes space for a better one to open. Begging is rooted in fear, fear of rejection, fear of being overlooked, fear of not being good enough. But fear is not the truth. It is only a story created by insecurity. The antidote to that fear is action. When you take consistent steps toward your goals, when you sharpen your skills and pour effort into growth, fear loses its grip. You no longer beg because you no longer believe you are powerless. Instead, you begin to see yourself as the author of your story, the architect of your future, and the builder of your success. There will always be moments when doubt creeps in. Perhaps someone tells you that you are not qualified or that your dream is unrealistic. In such moments, the temptation to seek their approval becomes strong, but that is precisely when you must remind yourself of your worth. External voices will always exist, both supportive and critical. The question is not what others say, the question is what you choose to believe. If you know your worth, criticism does not break you, and praise does not define you. You remain steady, anchored in your own sense of identity. Think of the countless innovators, leaders, and creators who were once dismissed, underestimated, or told to give up. They did not achieve greatness by begging for the world's approval. They achieved greatness by refusing to let rejection dictate their destiny. They knew that their worth was not dependent on being understood in the moment, but on staying faithful to their vision. Every person who has ever built something extraordinary started by believing they were worthy of the extraordinary. Without that self-belief, they would have stopped at the first obstacle. Life becomes liberating when you no longer tie your value to acceptance. You stop chasing people who do not see you. You stop staying in environments that do not appreciate you. You stop silencing yourself in order to fit in. Instead, you invest your energy in growth, in building, in becoming so capable and so resilient that your work speaks louder than any plea ever could. Begging asks for permission to exist. Building declares that you already belong. Recognizing your worth shifts you from dependency to empowerment, from waiting to creating, from insecurity to confidence. This mindset is not only about personal achievement, it also sets a powerful example for others. When you carry yourself with self-respect, you give silent permission for those around you to do the same. People who once hesitated to chase their own dreams find courage in your example. Confidence is contagious, and by living with the awareness of your worth, you inspire a ripple effect of strength and empowerment in others. The transformation begins with one individual refusing to beg and instead standing tall, but the impact spreads far beyond. Self-worth is also what sustains you when success feels distant. There will be seasons when progress is slow, when efforts do not yield immediate rewards, and when the temptation to quit becomes overwhelming. If your sense of value is rooted in external results, you may give up too soon. But if your worth is rooted in who you are, then you will continue, because you know that temporary setbacks do not define your permanent potential. You trust that the seeds you are planting will grow, even if you cannot see them yet. To live without begging is to reclaim your time, your energy, and your dignity. It is to replace desperation with determination. It is to wake up every day knowing that you do not need someone else to validate your dream, because you validate it yourself through action. Each small step, each bold decision, and each act of persistence becomes proof of your value. With every effort, you remind yourself that your life is not dependent on someone else's permission slip. It is dependent on your willingness to keep building, regardless of the obstacles. No one can fully see your potential the way you can. No one can measure the depth of your resilience or the fire of your vision. That is why waiting for others to recognize your worth is a losing game. They may never understand your dream the way you do, and that is okay. What matters is that you understand it, that you protect it, and that you pursue it with everything you have. The moment you embrace this truth, you stop living for applause and start living with purpose. When you stop begging, you discover freedom. Freedom to take risks, freedom to fail without shame, freedom to succeed without guilt. You no longer fear rejection because you know rejection does not lessen your worth. You no longer fear standing alone because you know your value does not depend on numbers. You no longer fear criticism because you know that criticism cannot take away your progress. Freedom comes from within, from the unshakable decision to define yourself rather than be defined by others. The journey to recognizing your worth is lifelong. It requires reminders, affirmations, and intentional practice. There will be days when you feel powerful and days when you feel small. The key is to return again and again to the truth that your value is not determined by approval, by applause, or by acceptance. Your value is intrinsic, and the sooner you live by that truth, the sooner you will find yourself no longer begging but building, no longer shrinking but shining, no longer waiting but walking boldly into the future you deserve. Life is full of people waiting for the right opportunity, waiting for someone to notice them, waiting for doors to open, waiting for circumstances to align perfectly. Waiting becomes a habit, a comfort zone disguised as patience. But the truth is, opportunities rarely arrive fully formed. They are created, crafted, and carved out of persistence, effort, and vision. The most successful people are not those who sat passively, hoping for a chance, but those who built their own chance, who created their own table when no seat was offered at another. To start building is to stop surrendering your destiny to the decisions of others and to take full ownership of the life you want to create. The act of building begins with a mindset shift. It is the belief that you are not powerless, that you are not a victim of circumstances, and that you are capable of shaping your reality. Too many people waste time knocking on doors that never open, not realizing that they could be laying the foundation of their own house. When you commit to building, you decide that even if every door closes, even if every opportunity is denied, you will still rise by constructing something new. This is the essence of empowerment, taking control of what you can do instead of lamenting what others refuse to give. Opportunities often hide behind effort. They appear disguised as challenges, disguised as failures, disguised as small steps that seem insignificant. Those who wait for the perfect opportunity will overlook these chances, but those who build will recognize them as bricks to lay in the structure of their future. A person who starts a small project today, who invests time in learning, who creates value without being asked, is already building. It may not look grand in the beginning, but empires are never built in a day. They are built with steady, consistent action, with countless bricks laid silently in the background before the world finally notices the strength of the structure. Waiting often comes from fear. Fear of failing, fear of criticism, fear of stepping into the unknown. But fear feeds stagnation. Building, on the other hand, feeds courage. Every time you take action toward your dream, no matter how small, you prove to yourself that fear does not control you. You prove that you are capable of progress even in uncertainty. With every action, the fear lessens and your strength grows. People who build do not wait for the perfect moment. They create the perfect moment through consistent effort. They understand that momentum is far more powerful than hesitation. There is a certain pride in building something with your own hands, your own ideas, your own energy. It gives you a sense of ownership that waiting can never provide. When you are handed an opportunity without effort, you may appreciate it, but when you create it, you treasure it. The process of building instills resilience because it forces you to solve problems, to adapt, to innovate. Every obstacle you overcome while building becomes a lesson that strengthens you. Every failure along the way becomes a stepping stone toward greater wisdom. Waiting teaches passivity, building teaches strength. The world does not always reward those who deserve it most. It often rewards those who are persistent enough to build regardless of recognition. History is full of individuals who were overlooked until their creations became undeniable. They did not wait for applause. They created something so valuable that the world could no longer ignore them. That is the power of building. You no longer live for recognition. You live for impact. You no longer hope for someone to hand you a chance. You create chances for yourself and for others. Building requires vision. You must see the invisible before others can see the visible. When you begin, you may have nothing but an idea, a spark of determination, and a willingness to work. Others may laugh, doubt, or dismiss you because they cannot see what you see. But vision is not meant to be obvious to everyone at first. It is meant to be nurtured by the one who carries it until it grows strong enough to be seen by the world. Building means protecting that vision, investing in it daily, and refusing to abandon it when progress feels slow. Every great achievement began with someone who decided to build instead of wait. The businesses that changed industries, the art that inspired generations, the movements that shifted societies, all of them were born from people who acted when others hesitated. They understood that waiting for permission would mean waiting forever. Instead, they acted, they built, and they proved that opportunity is not something you find. It is something you create. To build is to declare that you are not at the mercy of the world. You are an active participant in shaping it. Building does not always require resources in abundance. It begins with what you already have. The skills you possess, the knowledge you carry, the relationships you can nurture, the time you control. These are the raw materials for building. Too many people convince themselves that they need everything to be perfect before they begin, that they need more money, more connections, more recognition. But perfection is a myth. Building begins with imperfection, with messy first steps, with using what you have now instead of longing for what you lack. Over time, consistency compounds, and what once seemed small becomes significant. Action is the foundation of building. Ideas alone are not enough. Dreams without execution remain fantasies. It is the daily commitment to act, even in small ways, that creates momentum. Writing a single page, practicing a single hour, making a single call, saving a single dollar, all of these small actions accumulate into something powerful over time. Waiting feels easier in the moment because it demands nothing of you, but building rewards you because every step brings you closer to something real. Resilience is another essential element of building. The truth is, not every effort will succeed immediately. Some projects will fail. Some risks will not pay off, but failure while building is not wasted effort. It becomes part of the foundation, part of the lessons that strengthen future attempts. The more you build, the more you learn, and the more capable you become. Resilience transforms failure into feedback, mistakes into wisdom, and setbacks into setups for comebacks. Those who build know that every failure still moves them forward, while those who wait remain stagnant. Building also teaches independence. When you rely solely on others to create your opportunities, you remain at their mercy. But when you build, you free yourself from dependence. You learn to trust your abilities, to take responsibility for your progress, and to create value that cannot be ignored. Independence brings confidence, and confidence attracts opportunities. Ironically, when you stop waiting for others and begin building for yourself, the very opportunities you once begged for begin to appear naturally, drawn to the strength you have developed. Another truth about building is that it does not only transform you, it transforms those around you. When you create something meaningful, you open doors for others. Your courage becomes a source of courage for someone else. Your creation becomes a platform that supports more than just your success. Building is never just about personal achievement, it is about contribution. It is about leaving a mark that outlives you, about creating value that benefits others, about shaping the world in ways that matter. Waiting benefits no one, but building uplifts many. Patience is still a part of building, but it is active patience. It is not sitting idle, hoping something will happen, but working steadily while trusting the process. Building takes time, and impatience is the enemy of growth. A tree does not grow overnight, a house is not constructed in a single day, and success is not born from a single effort. It is the slow accumulation of consistent work, the layering of skill upon skill, the stacking of brick upon brick. Those who wait waste time, those who build invest it. The discipline required to build is often uncomfortable. It means choosing effort over ease, consistency over comfort, progress over procrastination. But the discomfort of building is temporary, while the rewards are lasting. Comfort zones may feel safe, but they produce little. Building requires stepping beyond comfort, into challenge, into risk, into effort that stretches you. Each time you stretch, you grow. Each time you grow, you move closer to the life you want. Waiting preserves comfort but kills growth. Building sacrifices comfort but creates greatness. Faith also plays a role in building. You must believe in what you are constructing even when you cannot yet see the results. Faith keeps you moving when the progress is invisible, when the results are delayed, when the work feels endless. Faith reminds you that what you are doing matters, that what you are building will stand, that the effort you pour in today is not wasted. Without faith, the weight of building becomes unbearable. With faith, every brick laid is filled with meaning. At the heart of building is choice. Every day, you face the choice to wait or to act, to wait for others or to trust yourself, to beg for chances or to create them. Building is a decision, and it must be made repeatedly. Each day you choose to build, you take another step toward freedom, toward impact, toward success. Each day you wait, you hand another piece of your future to someone else. The difference between those who achieve and those who do not often comes down to this simple choice, to build or to wait. Success is one of the most misunderstood words in the world. For some, it means wealth. For others, it means status or recognition. Society often creates a rigid picture of success, filled with titles, material possessions, and comparisons. And people chase that picture endlessly, forgetting that real success is not universal. It is deeply personal. To truly live fulfilled, one must learn to define success on one's own terms, rather than blindly accepting the definitions imposed by others. The tragedy of many lives is not that they failed to succeed, but that they succeeded in things that did not truly matter to them. Defining success on your own terms means asking yourself difficult questions. What makes me feel alive? What brings me peace? What makes me proud of the person I am becoming? Too often, individuals measure themselves against a checklist they never created, striving to meet the expectations of family, culture, or peers. They work tirelessly to climb ladders that lead to destinations they don't even desire. It is only when you pause to reflect and decide for yourself what matters most that success becomes meaningful. Without this reflection, achievement feels hollow, like drinking water that never quenches thirst. True success cannot be borrowed, imitated, or dictated. It comes from aligning your actions with your values, your dreams, and your purpose. For one person, success might mean building a global empire. For another, it might mean raising a family filled with love and kindness. For someone else, success could be freedom to travel, to create art, or to live a quiet life of service. None of these definitions are superior to the others. What matters is that they are chosen authentically, not forced by comparison or expectation. The moment you stop chasing someone else's version of success and begin creating your own, you find freedom. Comparison is one of the greatest enemies of personal success. It makes you believe that your life is inadequate simply because it looks different from someone else's. In the age of constant exposure to curated images of other people's achievements, it becomes easy to feel small, to feel like you are not doing enough, to feel like you are behind. But comparison blinds you to your own unique journey. It convinces you that there is only one path to fulfillment, when in reality there are infinite paths. The flower does not compete with the tree beside it, it simply blooms. Likewise, success is not about surpassing others. It is about blooming where you are planted, in your own season, in your own way. Defining success on your own terms requires courage, because it often means going against the crowd. It means saying no when everyone expects you to say yes. It means choosing paths that others may not understand or support. This courage is necessary because living authentically can sometimes look like failure to those who judge through conventional standards. But authenticity is never failure. It is the most powerful form of success because it reflects a life lived honestly, without masks, without apologies. The approval of others may bring temporary comfort, but the approval of your own heart brings lasting peace. There is also a misconception that success is a destination, a final place where happiness is guaranteed forever. But in reality, success is a continuous journey. It evolves as you evolve. What felt like success at one stage of life may no longer feel fulfilling at another. That is why it is important to keep redefining success, to keep asking yourself what truly matters now, not just what mattered yesterday. Success is not about reaching a final peak. It is about walking a path that aligns with your evolving values, celebrating growth along the way. The ability to redefine success as you change is what keeps life vibrant and meaningful. A powerful way to define success personally is to shift focus from external markers to internal growth. Titles, money, and recognition are temporary, They can be lost, taken, or forgotten. But qualities such as resilience, kindness, courage, and integrity cannot be stripped away. A person who builds these inner strengths has achieved a form of success that lasts beyond any circumstance. When storms come, possessions may vanish, but character endures. Success defined by character is indestructible because it is rooted in who you are, not what you have. Another essential aspect of personal success is fulfillment. Many people chase achievements that impress others but leave them feeling empty. They confuse being busy with being purposeful, productivity with meaning, achievement with joy. Fulfillment comes when your actions resonate with your heart, when you wake up feeling excited about your day, when your work, no matter how simple or grand, brings you closer to your values. Fulfillment cannot be measured by applause, but by the quiet contentment you feel within yourself. When you live aligned with your definition of success, you no longer need the world to tell you that you are enough. You simply know it. Defining success on your own terms also means embracing failure differently. Society often views failure as the opposite of success, but in reality, failure is part of it. Failure teaches resilience, creativity, and humility. When success is defined externally, failure feels like the end. But when success is defined internally, failure becomes a step forward, a lesson that strengthens the journey. Success, then, is not about avoiding mistakes, but about continuing to grow through them. It is about having the courage to try, to stumble, and to rise again with greater wisdom. It is also important to understand that success is not linear. Many people imagine it as a straight line upward, but in truth, it is full of twists, turns, detours, and pauses. Those detours are not proof of failure. They are part of the journey. Sometimes what feels like a setback is actually a redirection towards something more aligned with your true purpose. When you define success personally, you are able to embrace the journey without judgment, trusting that every step has meaning even if it doesn't look like the traditional picture of progress. The pressure to meet conventional standards of success often robs people of joy in the present moment. They are so focused on the next milestone, more money, a higher title, greater recognition, that they forget to celebrate what they already have. But personal success requires gratitude. Gratitude grounds you, reminding you that success is not only about what you are striving for, but also about appreciating what you have already built. Gratitude transforms the pursuit of success from a stressful chase into a joyful journey. Living by your own definition of success also means respecting your limits. In a world that glorifies constant hustle, many people burn themselves out chasing goals that were never truly theirs. They push themselves to exhaustion, trying to prove something to the world while neglecting their own well-being. But real success is not self-destruction in the name of achievement. It is balance, health, and peace. Success without well-being is hollow. A true definition of success must include taking care of your mind, body, and soul, so that achievement enhances your life instead of draining it. Another element of defining success personally is contribution. Success that serves only the self feels shallow over time. There is a deeper form of fulfillment that comes from impacting others, from giving, from leaving behind something meaningful. This does not mean you must change the entire world. Even small acts of kindness, mentorship, or creativity can be powerful contributions. Success defined through contribution lasts longer than personal gain, because it continues to echo in the lives of others long after your own journey ends. Self-awareness is the foundation of personal success. You cannot define success for yourself without knowing who you are, what you value, and what you want. This requires reflection, honesty, and sometimes uncomfortable self-examination. It requires peeling away the layers of expectation, comparison, and fear to discover your authentic self. Once you have that clarity, every decision becomes easier. You no longer chase blindly, you move with purpose. You no longer compare constantly, You celebrate your unique path. You no longer fear judgment. You trust your direction. Personal success is also about alignment. When your actions match your values, when your choices reflect your priorities, when your time is spent on what truly matters to you, then you are living successfully. Misalignment creates frustration because deep down you know you are not honoring your true self. Alignment creates peace because every step feels right, even if it is difficult. Success defined by alignment is deeply satisfying because it is not about pleasing others. It is about being true to yourself. The greatest irony is that when you stop chasing society's definition of success and begin living by your own, you often achieve more than you ever imagined. This happens because authenticity unleashes potential. When you are not wasting energy on comparison or approval, you can pour your full strength into your passions. When you are motivated by purpose rather than pressure, you become more resilient, more creative, more determined. The world is drawn to people who live authentically, and opportunities naturally flow to those who are aligned with themselves. In the end, personal success often leads to external success as well, but the difference is that it feels meaningful because it is rooted in your truth. Success, then, is not a universal finish line. It is not about living up to the world's checklist. It is about writing your own checklist, one that reflects your values, your passions, your purpose. It is about celebrating growth, resilience, and authenticity rather than chasing constant comparison. It is about defining what matters to you and pursuing it with courage, regardless of what others say. When you choose to define success on your own terms, you free yourself from the chains of expectation and discover a life that is not only successful, but deeply fulfilling.